Good morning. Today we're going to be cooking a chocolate brownie with white chocolate caramel. So let's look at the, first of all, pastry. More exact than our normal cooking. We need to make sure everything's weighed out correctly and we're really clean and sterile in everything we do. So let's look at the ingredients. We've got some lovely muscovado sugar, we've got some dark chocolate, 70%, we've got some plain flour, some eggs, some vanilla paste and some butter. So the first thing we're going to do, we've got a bain-marie on, which is a little pan of water, which we're going to melt our chocolate over. So the chocolate is in a metal bowl, so the chocolate can go on that. To that we're going to add the butter. We've got it on just a gentle heat. We're just going to let that slowly melt. That'll probably take about 10 minutes. So while that's going, in a mixer with a whisk, we're going to put the muscovado sugar. Going to crack 5 eggs, and we're just going to put a couple of drops of vanilla paste in there. So whisk attachment on, and whenever you use it in a mixer you've got to make sure it's on a nice stable surface and all of the safety attachments are in place. So we're going to turn this on to mix for about 5 to 6 minutes until we get a sabion. Okay, that's been on about 10 minutes now. So the chocolate's all melted. As you can see, the eggs have come up to a lovely sabion, and look at the colour from that amazing sugar. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to try and keep as much of that air in as possible, so I'm just going to tap the whisk. Then we've got the melted chocolate with a nice clean spatula. So what we're going to do now is put the chocolate into there, fold the chocolate in, okay, carefully without trying to not lose too much, need the bubbles, and then we're going to fold the flour in, okay. So chocolate in first. Okay, just gently fold it in. You want to make sure the chocolate's not too hot, otherwise it will start cooking the eggs. Just folding that in. Lovely rich smell coming off that, the mixture of the chocolate and that lovely sugar. Right, so that's mixed in. We're going to add a little bit of flour at a time. So about a quarter in so far first. Then just gently fold it into the mixture. The last little bit in. And again, you don't want to do this in the machine. If you did it on the machine it would knock too much of the air out. So just folding it in. Make sure you get right the way down to the bottom of the bowl just to make sure that everything's mixed in. And to the top. There we have it. So that's our mix. Then you need a baking tray that's been lined with parchment paper. Then that's going to go in the oven for 20 minutes at 180. Okay, now the chocolate brownie is cooled What I've done is I put, when it was still warm, I put a ring over it and then pressed it so the brownie is pressed down and nice and even. We've got a nice lip around there where we can put the caramel in. So to make the caramel, what we need is 1 tin of the caramel condensed milk, which we're going to heat up in a pan. Now when you heat it up in a pan, you can see this is nice and caramelized, so it does most of the work for us. I'm going to put this into the pan. Now all we're going to do is gently heat that up. So basically we don't burn it because the caramel's already done. We don't want to, obviously the high sugar content, it is prone to burning a lot, so there's that. So let's just start on a number 2 for a minute. And as that just slowly warms up, then we're going to add our white chocolate. Now white chocolate has a lower burning point than dark chocolate, so you've got to be, it's a lot harder to work with than it is dark chocolate. So we're going to just be really careful how we're going to add this. As soon as it's just melted in, that's when we're ready. And then obviously the caramel is quite thick and the white chocolate will help this set. So the caramel is just starting to warm up and it's just starting to loosen as it warms up. At this point I'm going to put the white chocolate in. We're just going to gently stir that in. All we want is that to melt. We're not trying to do anything more than just to melt that in with the caramel. Now at this point I'm going to add one other thing. Always nice with caramel to add a little bit of Cornish sea salt to give it that lovely salt caramel. That's almost there. Again, we just wanted that white chocolate to melt. Now at this point, the same as any savoury ingredient, I'm just going to check the seasoning, because by adding salt we have seasoned the dish. That's lovely. So the saltiness just comes out, brings the caramel flavours out lovely. Right, turn that off. It doesn't burn, that's come up lovely. Caramel. Now, because that's nice and loose, all we're going to do now is just pour that straight over and then get it in the fridge to set. Rather than use a spoon, just get it all into all of the corners. So we've got these spoon marks on the top of the caramel. It's nice and even. What I'll do is I'll probably just wipe down the edges once it's set. There you go. That's ready to go in the fridge. Okay, now that the caramel is set, what I've done is over the bain-marie, I've melted the chocolate for the glaze, which is the chocolate and the oil. I've melted it over the bain-marie, let it cool slightly so it's just warm. Now, so because you don't want to put hot liquid onto this because it'll just all melt into one. So this is just lukewarm, and all we're going to do now, just pour it over. Not too thick, because we just want it as a glazed top. We might have a little extra over. Just pour that down. Corners, and that's it, and that's going to go back in the freezer and set for about 20 minutes. Okay, now that the mirror glaze is set, I've cut 2 portions of that. We're going to try and plate something up. I've made a little bit of red berry coulis, I've cut some raspberries up, and in this little piping bag here I've got a little bit of white chocolate. So I'm just going to finish the top of the brownie now. Let's just make sure that's coming out nicely. So let's just have a go, a nice little finish. Keeping your hand steady and just letting the chocolate flow. Again, this is just an added extra, you don't have to do this. Right, so let's plate up. Let's take the brownie first. on the plate. Then we're just going to take the coulis, make sure the coulis at the bottom of the squeezy bottle. Just a little line. And we just finish with some cut raspberries. There you have it, chocolate brownie with white chocolate caramel, a little bit of sea salt in there, just finished with some raspberries. Enjoy.